Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to take a quick look at Nvidia. The company just reported earnings yesterday after the market closed, and today I just want to share my overall thoughts and all the exciting things that I found out during this earnings call. If this is your first time here, make sure to hit the thumbs up, make sure to hit the subscribe button, check out the pinned comment for free Discord, free newsletter, and a lot of great investing links. So unfortunately right now, pre-market, the stock is down about 2.6%. I don't believe there's anything earnings related that would have caused the stock price to go down. Maybe investors were just expecting too much, or maybe the overall volatility happening with global tensions moments. So if we take a quick look, let's just jump into earnings. This was a record quarter for them, $7.6 billion in revenue. This did beat analyst expectations, and it did beat their previously guided guidance as well. That was up 53% compared to a year ago, and it was also up 8% from the previous quarter. They did record also a fiscal year revenue of $26.9 billion, and that was up 61% compared to the same time compared to last year. Now, later on this episode, I'm going to take a quick look at some of the things I learned during the earnings call. But a few products that Jensen and the team mentions a lot are one, the Omniverse, and two, Nvidia Drive. They believe these products will be a nice mover in the upcoming quarters, in the upcoming years, and that's something we're going to see a little bit more. For those that are not familiar, Nvidia does kind of have a conference, they call it GTC, and that will be on March 23rd, I believe, March 22nd or March 23rd. They will be announcing many new products, applications, and partners for Nvidia computing. So if one is a very heavy Nvidia investor, I definitely recommend checking that kind of video out. Obviously, I will be doing a video, so just subscribe if you want to know the quick details about it. If we take a quick look, they do mention a little bit about the Nvidia ARM acquisition. I talked about this in the past, how this has been terminated, and that Nvidia will kind of write off or write down a expense of $1.36 billion this upcoming quarter. So the first quarter of fiscal 2023, you will kind of see that take a hit on earnings per share. I mentioned this in the past. There was like a non-refundable part of that deal, and we've talked about it again in the past. But I do want to reiterate that this is something that they have paid already. This was a prepayment provided in September of 2020. And this is why sometimes maybe the income statement might not be the best thing to look at, because it kind of covers things like this that have already happened. But they did give us guidance for the first quarter of fiscal 2023. And they expect revenue of $8.1 billion. This is insane. I mean, this company continues to grow, and we're going to see they are expected to see strong growth in the data center. Obviously, they're still expecting growth in the gaming department and in the visualization. But it does seem like the team is very, very excited for data center growth.
Let's take a listen to today's sponsor. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for investors of all skill sets and risk levels. You guys know I love finding new investing tools and resources to help me scout out new growth stocks. And right now I have a discount for one of my favorite services the Fool offers. Through the Motley Fool Stock Advisor services, you get access to a ton of expert stock picks. Every month you'll get 2 new picks that are aimed at growing your wealth and to help you realize your financial goals. Stock Advisor's average stock picks have done amazing returns. If growing your money is something you'd like to do more of this year, you can visit fool.com/Jose Najarro or click on the link below for access to my special offer and decide if the Stock Advisor is right for you. Thanks again to the Motley Fool, and now onto today's video.
Now I just want to show this quick slide of their quarterly revenue trends. We can see gaming is still the number one portion of revenue, but data center is growing at fast levels, and I do believe in the upcoming quarters, maybe next quarter might be even closer, but I believe by the next 2 to 3 quarters, data centers will finally outpace gaming, and I think that's going to be a huge trend. The second thing is here, professional visualization. This one is now $643 million for this quarter. I do believe in the next year or so, this will hit over $1 billion revenue from this segment, which would be the third segment that Nvidia makes more than $1 billion revenue from. The auto industry we're going to see is still pretty small, 125, but Nvidia believes that Nvidia Drive and their Orin platform, and I'm actually going to do a video on all of Nvidia's driving technologies and solutions later, either maybe on Friday or later next week, so you guys can really be familiar with all the different products that they offer for driving simulations. I'm super excited about that market. So we can see that one's super small, but maybe we might see it start to grow over time. Right now it has been flat, maybe even decreasing compared to a year ago. But remember, right now we're having a huge chip shortage that is truly affecting and impacting the car industry. I feel like that's the industry that's being impacted the most right now in forms of production, and it's kind of been a stalemate there. So that's a main reason why we haven't seen much growth in the auto industry. Finally, I do want to mention a little bit more things here in their balance sheet and cash flow. They have cash and market securities of about $21 billion. They have plenty of money, right? This was a company that was about to purchase ARM. This ARM acquisition didn't go through, so they have plenty of cash at hand. With this extra cash in their balance sheet, I do believe Nvidia will try another acquisition within the next year or so. I don't believe it's going to be as big as ARM, maybe something small, either something in the hardware department that can kind of boost their products, something like they did with Mellanox that really helped with network equipment, or maybe a kind of entity that would help them with their 3D market or even autonomous market. So there's many markets that Nvidia is hitting that they could have potential smaller acquisition targets for. One thing that I thought was super interesting is their outstanding inventory purchase. And this is, hey, I go to these wafer companies and I buy up inventory for the long term of things. The obligations were up to $9 billion, up from $2.54 billion a year ago and $6.9 billion a quarter ago. This company is holding inventory right now, or is buying inventory for something big and something soon. And they kind of mentioned a little bit in the earnings call, which we'll talk about in a bit. But that's insane, the amount of obligations they have bought up. I don't believe this is a company that needs to worry about inventory anytime soon. Cash flow from operations were $3 billion this quarter. Amazing. Great margins. Free cash flow was $2.74 billion. Again, strong cash flow there. So now if we finally take a quick look at what I learned from their earnings call. So things to know. Guidance is expected strong growth in data centers. They do expect growth in gaming and visualizations, but the biggest growth is in data centers. The team says that data center demand is still completely much higher than supply. Next, they do mention that even though the acquisition of ARM isn't going to go through, they are still working on multiple ARM projects, and this was a no-brainer. I mean, ARM is a neutral basis, so even without them owning it, they're still going to be able to work on it. So first, the Grace CPU, the first CPU, will be followed by other ARM CPUs, so that's already in the pipeline, and that new Grace is still on track for later this year. This is going to be a huge market for them. I'm guessing that's where the inventory is going into. One of the portions of that huge growth in inventory is them increasing it to have a strong amount of Grace CPUs. Makes a lot more sense now. They're also focusing including new robotics processors. Automation robots are still growing dramatically, and now with AI kind of being integrated into them, they need a nice amount of processing powers. So I can see why robotic processors are in the works. Other connected devices as well. They did mention Orin Drive, and like I said earlier on in this episode, I'm gonna do an episode on just Nvidia's drive solutions, so we can learn a little bit more about them. But that's expected to grow dramatically this year and expected to be a major product in the future. Maybe another reason why they are increasing their inventory dramatically. Huge growth in inventory is due to upcoming products plus Orin, like I just mentioned. AI chatbots are a trend to keep an eye out, and this goes very similar to the AI avatars Jensen mentioned last quarter. So the overall, I want to say, interactive artificial intelligence, it's the big trend, right? That's what it seems. Those two, the chatbots and the avatars, have that in common, that they are artificial intelligence that interact with humans, and that seems to be the huge growth in the next 5 years. The team still believes that Nvidia is still in early innings with RTX, and they also believe that Omniverse and other products can create huge tailwinds. So at the end of the day, I do believe these were strong earnings. I think this is a stock price that at the end of the day is somewhat priced to perfection. Right now it's down 4.7%. I do believe the rest of the market is down, but Nvidia, in the long term of things, in the next 5 years, I believe the market cap will be a lot bigger than $1 trillion. So Nvidia is a no-brainer for me. If I was to enter at these levels, it would be more like dollar cost averaging, because everything happening in the market. I think semiconductor industry tends to fluctuate a lot with market news, especially things like global tensions, which can really affect supply chain issues. And the semiconductor industry does not need any issues with supply chain, because that could be dramatic for stock prices. Again, all that is more short-term move. I think in the long term, Nvidia will be one of my best returners. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.